So here we go. We've got 7 businesses, 3 joint ventures with iwi, joint ventures with other groups around the country. We helped Waiheke to win their contract a few years ago. They've got a joint venture called Remarkable Recyclers in Wanaka. Annual revenue of about 6 million, 70 full-time employees, and that capacity to take on bigger projects. And we are looking at bigger projects, and it's really a transition town concept along the lines that James is talking about. So now, using that experience to look at Auckland. Auckland needs a new system that reduces waste volumes and costs, that creates jobs and business opportunities, encourages competition and innovation, and unleashes the creativity of the community. Now, to do this is one main thing we have to do, and that's take back control of the waste infrastructure. Because as long as it's in control of the people that have a different set of objectives to the wider community, you will get growing waste costs and growing waste volumes. This is just a drawing that was in the report we did, Reclaiming Auckland Resources. So the Reclaiming Auckland Resources was a concept where you overlaid a new plan based on a network of resource recovery parks, which themselves, like hub and spoke, would be fed by community recycling centres. That would become the new gateway to the landfill, and that would be controlled. That gateway would be controlled by the community. So instead of the gate being on the gate of the landfill, in a sense, theoretically, you have a new gate, and everything must go through this new system, controlled by council on behalf of the community, of course. It can be operated by community groups, private sector, private businesses, big or small. But it's de-linked from the landfill operators and their priorities. Their job will be to simply haul and safely landfill the residue, and they can make as much money as doing that as efficiently as possible. Here's a rough schematic just to show how it might work. So you have the big hub, which are essentially business development parks, recycling business economic development parks. They would be fed by a range of community recycling centres right around the city. Adelaide and Melbourne has about 100 community recycling depots, so it's not something that hasn't been done before. But those are funded by their container deposit program. So they're actually self-funded, and they're run by private businesses, non-profits. The Scouts own about 8 of them, and they are the wealthiest Scout, organisation in the whole of Australia. They make about $9 million per annum and about 1.5 million profit for the Scouts. So this is a self-funding system. Here's an example which we did for a council in Perth, a concept of a resource recovery park. If you see the little roundabout in the front, you drive up, you go to the weighbridge. The place with the red roof is basically a public interface area where, a bit like Trash Palace. Then you've got construction, demolition, you've got to the right bigger businesses and a range of different businesses that are all feeding off the materials. So this is your new landfill gateway, and these are fed by community recycling centres. And so you might have one of these, 7 or 8 of these in the city, and one of them might specialise in plastic. So it's a discard trading system. So the plastics might tend to go to one where somebody's got a great system for turning plastic into something. Gibboard would go to one, so they'd all have collection places for gibboard, and it would all go to that one where the processing plant would be. Here's one that was a proposal for in the UK, where they'd actually be using the canal systems to transport the materials. So it's not just materials though, it's products, product waste. As part of this, this wasn't actually a part of it, but it would have been part. It wasn't designed necessarily to be part of it, but the Waiheke Resource Trust, and daughter here is representing it at the back there, and that group successfully won a contract quite a few years ago to run the waste for that system for the island. They created a tremendous community business which was employing, I think, at least 20 people or more, where there was only a couple when it was run by a waste company. and they proposed to the council that they enlarge the area, and that piece of land on the left was purchased by City Council, and Envision was asked to design the concept and turn it into a resource recovery park. So in our mind, that would have been the first hub, of this whole system. However, the Visi concept came about, which required a large amount of material, and that was closed. Now, I'm not going to go through all this list here because I've got running out of time, but container deposits, it sounds like I'm digressing, but container deposits, in other words, refundable deposits on beverage containers, is an excellent way to fund the community recycling centre part of it. If we had a 10-cent deposit on beverage containers, they would be injecting $400,000 a day into the social economy, if you like, for people, students, community groups to fundraise and get that money back from keeping the deposits off the containers out of the streets and out of the waterways. Would also create about 2,000 jobs, and the container deposit system has funded the network of 100 community recycling depots in South Australia. So if we had the resource recovery network, let's call it, with container deposits, we would have the core funding for small businesses, community groups to establish the recycling centres, take glass out of the curbside and deliver it as high quality uncontaminated material to OI, so it makes that thing more viable, provide high quality clean material for New Zealand manufacturers at higher prices. In South Australia, all of their commodities receive a 10 to 20% premium over other states because of the container deposit system, people look after it, has value. And here's just a photo that a colleague and I that started CBEC in Kaitaia, we went and had a look at the Visi plant. At this very time, Auckland City was promoting that all of the material was being recycled properly. And we saw this, we were told it's about 28,000 tonnes. We were actually outside the property because the fence had been pushed over. But this shows you the current system of one big factory taking all this stuff at the moment is not working. And I won't go into that because there's not enough time. This is just briefly to say that the Glass Packaging Institute, which represents all the big glass manufacturers right throughout North America, have now support container deposit because people look after it. It produces good, clean, quality material and reduces wear on their plant, and the main reason is it reduces their CO2 outputs, which they are expected to do. So in summary, privatisation has really meant monopoly control, 2 or 3 large companies, and it's actually stifled innovation and true competition. The new vision for Auckland is required to halt waste increases and spiralling costs. The resource recovery network would be the new gateway, landfill gate, will drive creation of new jobs, businesses, and innovation. Community, as represented by a council, control of waste is the key to solving Auckland's waste crisis. So the vision would be a new infrastructure controlled by the community, but run by the private sector, that will reduce volumes and costs, stimulate rather than stifle competition, create these business opportunities and jobs, build communities and stimulate innovation, all funded by reallocating the same financial resources we already spend. Thank you very much.